Everyone has a story to tell. Welcome to DingoTalk, where we explore the experiences that make us who we are. Here's your host, Carlo Guadagnino.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino, and this is DingoTalk. We are back in the PAC talking to head football coach of Thiel College, Sam Bauman. He's entering his second year as head coach. But before we tell you the rest of that story, make sure you check us out on the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. The only one different is the Instagram page. It's dingo_talk. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcast or listen to your podcast, thank you. Hit that little notification bell and a thumbs up. And if you're watching us on YouTube, also thank you. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Coach Bauman is going to talk to us about his journey from his days as a player to his coaching career through the couple schools that he went to, and then finishing at Thiel, where he's been now for 2 years. We talked about, for those that know the Thiel tradition, the ringing the bell after the victory bell, which he hasn't been able to do yet at a home game, but he did pick up the first win in 5 years. Him and the Thiel Tomcats, they picked up their first win in since 2017, and it was against my alma mater there at Bethany. 27-26 was the final of that game. So we're going to talk to him about what that win was, importance-wise to the program, among other things. It's not my job to tell Coach Bauman's story. That's his job. So without further ado, this is Coach Bauman. What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is Dingo Talk. We are staying in the PAC. We are with head coach of Thiel College, Sam Bauman. Coach Bauman, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to do this the same way we do every week. First, we're going to talk about you and how you got to Thiel, and then we'll talk about the program, etc. Let's take you back to 2006. Does an 18-year-old Coach Bauman, how does an 18-year-old Sam find himself at Beloit College?
It was actually a pretty crazy recruitment. I'd never heard of it, never been to the school. It was about an hour and a half away until January of my senior year. So they had a coaching change there. Coach Brand, who I played for, took over a program, and I was one of the first guys he was able to bring in, and the first class that he was able to bring in, and it was a blast. I loved my time there. It was a great school. I got a great education, and got to play with a lot of guys who have done a lot of cool things outside of football, inside of football, and I wouldn't go back and change anything about it.
Well, and as I was doing my research, I think it's interesting that when a lot of people, the stereotypical opinion of a football player or an athlete in college is you went to school to be a gym teacher or a business major or somewhere down, and nothing against any of those majors. You did not go that route. You have a bachelor's in science in psychology. Why was psychology where you wanted to take your degree?
I knew early. I went into college thinking the sciences and maths were the route I was going to go, and then I took physics and calculus 2 and 3, and I decided no, I was good not doing that as a career. So being a science guy, psychology is kind of the next thing over, and my backup plan was always in the back of my head. I love football. I wanted to be a part of it. What version of that going forward, I wasn't sure. But once I realized I wasn't going to be anything to deal with that, that was the route that I took. So basically, second semester, freshman year, I decided, hey, I'm going to be a football coach. What's a good edge, an area I can jump into? Psychology is a lot about teaching. It's a lot about the mind, and it's a lot about motivation. So I wanted to jump into that and really pull what I thought would help me as a coach in that field. So
now, you unlike some of the coaches we've had prior, they finished their playing career and got the opportunity to coach right away at their alma mater. You did not do that. You ended up leaving your alma mater. Was that a job choice from you? Was that there was the opportunity just wasn't there at the time? Why the choice to leave once you graduated?
That was actually the advice I got from my head coach. He said, it's really hard jumping in with guys that guys that you've experienced college with, and trying to, coach them up and motivate them and discipline them at times, right? And so he really suggested, hey, it'd be great for you to branch out. He was the defensive coordinator at the University of Chicago a couple years before, so he had a very good relationship with Coach Maloney. So I got an interview down there, and it was basically an awesome start as far as that goes. So he was able to help set me up and get me that position.
And you spent 2 years there, so I mean, it was a good. Obviously, you really enjoyed being a part of that staff.
It was only one. So I was there the 1 year, and it was awesome. I love my time at Chicago. Incredible student athletes there. Obviously, it was fun to be able to coach those guys. And then I got to work with a really good staff. I don't know how many staffs the year that we won the conference there, and all three coordinators, so the offense, defense, and special teams coordinators, all got head coaching jobs that year. So I was able to follow our offensive coordinator down to Rose-Hulman because of the success that we had. So it was really cool. And, winning a conference championship, not a bad deal either.
Now, what was the experience like going from Chicago to the University or Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, correct? Absolutely, I have it written there, and I messed myself up a little bit.
Yep, RHIT.
So what was the I guess the biggest difference between being at the University of Chicago and then RHIT?
I mean, it's still very smart students. It's a really highly regarded engineering school, but it's engineering students. So those guys, if 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, sometimes their mind explodes a little bit. So it was interesting to be able to have to teach a different way so that they could understand how to go about doing the things that we were trying to get them to do, because there wasn't a lot of gray area for them. They needed it to all add up in their minds. So we had to make sure that we were able to present that in a great way, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, we could do a lot of stuff. They loved all new concepts because that kept them engaged, that kept them having fun. As far as a personal challenge, I was able to take over a room, whereas I was just an assistant helping out with the defensive backs at Chicago, helping out the defensive coordinator, letting him kind of be a coordinator while I took over the position at times. And now I got to run my own room, run the linebackers. So it was fun to have that added responsibility, and then go to class as well, being a GA at Indiana State.
Well, I was going to ask, there's 2 parts to this next question. One, you're trying to get your master's right at Indiana State. The other side of that is you're not just working with the linebackers. You became kind of in charge of the recruitment side of things at HIT. Why did you jump into recruitment, and what draws you to the recruitment side? Because that's a big deal when you're talking being a head coach of a program.
Yeah, no, I mean, as much as we think, we can really change things as coaches, it's about the players. So if you don't have the players in your system to be able to run what you're trying to run, it's really hard to win football games. So, it's really, really important to bring in, players who buy into a system, who are excited about being at a place, and who really are willing to work hard. So it was really important to jump into that. It's something that I've definitely grown as I've gone through it, and it's been a blast to I've recruited at a bunch of different institutions. I've recruited a bunch of different types of kids, and it's fun creating those relationships, and it's been a wild ride so far.
And then the other side, back to the beginning of that question, why the decision to go back to school? Why did you feel the need to get your master's? Was that always a goal, kind of, coming out of school? Was that something you really were working to attain, or was it kind of the opportunity presented itself and let's jump on it?
It was a lot to do with the opportunity. I think in this profession, especially, I knew eventually I wanted to be a head coach, And a lot of times, being if as a head coach or sometimes a faculty member, they want to see you have the highest degree in your field. So it's kind of just a box that you got to check. And it was an opportunity to go take classes, and it was fun because I got to switch over from psychology to more of a physical education degree, where I got that master's in coaching. So it was cool to be able to kind of see a different side of academia and explore that.
Now, once you've established yourself at RHIT, why the decision to join the staff at? Because and then you spend, that's a very long time there with that program. So why was that the right fit?
It's crazy how coaching works. So the defensive coordinator I worked at Rose, Brian Vaughn, he had worked with another coach who had worked with Frank Colaprete, who I worked with at Wooster for basically a decade. So it was kind of one of those small world things where Brian said, "Hey, this opening is there. It's something that, I think you would fit really well." I was able to interview Frank, and it was one of those things where we hit it off pretty quick. And, after, I think the next day I got the job offer, I was out there on Monday. So it was a real quick turnaround, and, it was, taking that job. If you would have asked me then, would I be at Wooster for 9 years? I probably would have said no way, but the way things worked out, it happened, and it was an awesome experience being there for sure.
Well, in that 9 years, that was kind of a turning point for the program, correct? There was a not so great 2012.
Yep.
2012, and then 2013, everything kind of just turns, and it seems to be an uphill. What was the reasoning for that? Was it a culture buy-in? Was it just complete overhaul from the coaches? How did that change?
Yeah, coming in as a new staff, it was, I think they just, a change needed to be made. Good, bad, or indifferent, just needed to liven up the place. And, we came in with some new ideas, a new work ethic, a new, energy and kind of move some guys around. That's the one thing I'll always take from Frank is, you're trying to tinker, you're trying to find the right spot for the right guy, because that's going to make you the best version. So moving D tackles over to O-line, moving DBs over to running back, we were able to mix and match and create a really effective football team that, had a really big turnaround, 2 wins to 7. So it was pretty exciting, and it was a lot of fun that first year for sure.
Now, so you're 9 years in Worcester. When does the Thiel job start to kind of show itself on your radar? When are you starting to think, okay, I like where I'm at, but I want to become a head coach? When are you starting to really look, and were there other jobs? Were you looking at different other than Thiel, or did Thiel, once you got there, was it just kind of the fit?
I think, right around COVID is when I knew I was going to be, it was kind of ready to make that next step. So that just everything that happened, just needed something, everyone kind of got a little stir crazy, and I was definitely in that boat. And then, I was able to, I think, get the interview at Thiel, which, piqued my interest a little bit, and it really didn't happen until I got on campus and really got to experience the place that I was like, this is a place I could definitely see myself at. This is a place where I think we can win a lot of football games, and that's exciting to me. I wouldn't take a job if I didn't think that there was a future with a lot of success. And so it was really interesting. And I had a couple interviews after the Thiel one, and I kind of sleptwalked through them because I kind of had my mind made up. I knew what I wanted, and I was really excited about this opportunity, and was lucky enough to get offered the job. And another one of those where, it was a Thursday and I was there on Monday. So it's kind of the way this profession works, and you got to pack up and go.
Now let's talk about that you experienced when you came to campus. What is it about Thiel? Because I know as a football player, there's definitely some attraction and some goofiness with your stadium. The having the cemetery right there, and it's on the side where the away team stands. Yep. So it's a little, it can be very eerie at times on that field. So what was it that really brought you to Thiel?
It's the community. Talking to the people that were here, whether there's the student athletes, the professors here, the administration, just the pride they have in this place. And, the people who are here for a long, long time. There's a lot of, 20 plus, 30 plus year people here. And I think that's really exciting because they want this place to be as successful as possible. And they know football being successful helps the school be successful. And so it's been really, really fun to get to know this place. And it's been really cool that my initial impression has really shown off because, it wasn't kind of, hey, surprise, now everything's changed. There's still a really tight knit community. Everyone that I thought was all about this place has really been all about it.
So if I'm an 18-year-old kid, or even let's say I'm a junior in high school, I'm starting to look around. What are you looking for? You're talking to a recruit, looking for from that guy. What are some of the attributes of the person? And obviously you got to be able to play.
Yeah. I mean, that first, obviously we want guys who can play ball, but, we're looking for guys who first and foremost have a strong interest in what we're doing. You get on campus, experience what we are all about, because you got to want to be here. You got to want to be a part of what we're trying to accomplish for the long haul. Right. So it's got to be something that you're interested in, you're excited about. And then the biggest trait we're looking for is guys who just love to work. It's got to be something where they know that the work that they're going to put in is going to help them be the best version of themselves on the football field. So, there just has to be that kind of, I guess nowadays that dog in them, right? So you hear that all the time, but you just got to be able to be relentless and to be excited about doing hard things well. And if we do that, if we recruit a bunch of those guys, we're going to be a really good football. And that's
now, what area, like when you're talking the heart of your recruitment area, where are you looking immediately? Like when you're at the college and you're just looking at the outskirts, is that the first, like, look, we want to make sure we cover this and then continue to go out? Is that how that goes?
Yeah, we're about an hour and a half radius, and that's where we want the majority of our football team. If you don't have to know much about football to know that Western Pennsylvania, Northeast Ohio is really, really good football. There's a lot of really good football players in this area. We need to find guys from this area who are excited about what we're doing. So that's where we live. That's where we want to get our most guys from. And then we branch out because we can be a little national because we are a school that's able to do that. So we've had some success in different pockets, but we want our core to be from this area.
Now, what's the importance, in your opinion, of Division III?
It's awesome. It's a chance to compete. I playing it, only coaching in it, I know it's a level that while you can have a ton of success, you can go on to play at the next level. It's a chance for 4 more years of football. It's a chance for 4 more years of whatever sport you're looking for, while getting a great education, while being able to further yourself. So it's just the best of all worlds. And it's not intramurals. So you're competing, you're working hard, you're doing everything you need to do. But at the end of the day, it's also about being a student athlete. So, it's less of a business than maybe the big time schools are. So I like that fact where you can build those relationships, work really hard, but still have that sense of family, that sense of community.
Absolutely. Now, would you say that the transfer portal, is it as big of a deal in the Division III realm as it is maybe Division II or Division I? And is it more maybe those Division II guys or Division I guys looking more to drop down for the playing time than they are maybe going Division III school to Division III school?
I mean, we're still learning about it, right? Because it is only really the second year. So it's one of those things where I think there's a lot of, obviously, the national discussion, there is a lot of problems with it. We need to keep working on fixing it. But I think there's a lot of positives to it as well, because it gives those kids a chance to, at 18, if I knew I would not be in this profession if I was doing what I thought I was going to be doing right out of school. Right. So, there are mistakes. There are different situations where you should be given that opportunity to look elsewhere. So I got no problem with that. I think for us, it is those kids that are maybe looking to play. They wanted to get that higher level. They got that offer and it's just not quite working out for them. that I think Division III can be a place where, let's get you out there, let's get you competing, let's get you playing the game you love again, because it might not have been working out there where you're just down the depth chart and not getting those opportunities. So, we'll try to use it a little bit. And it's been, I think a lot of the coaches who kind of evolve with it have had some success with it. And, it's not ideal. It's not perfect, but I think if you try to work within the system that's there and you really attack it the right way, it could be a useful tool.
Coach, what's your message to the Thiel alumni as the program sits right now?
There's a lot of excitement right now within our building, within our community, because we're the only ones who know kind of the work that we're putting in, how hard our staff is working to recruit individuals, how hard our players who are currently here are in the weight room doing the things they need to do. So we are really, really excited. And, it's not going to show up yet because we haven't had the success that excitement that we haven't seen those fruits yet. But we're patiently building. We know that this thing is going to take maybe a little bit of time, but I think we're doing it the right way. I think we are building it from the ground up, and I'm really excited about the foundation we have and the steps that we've taken. Next fall, we get to see how many steps we actually have taken. If it's a big step, a little step, but I know we've moved forward as a program, which is, I think, what you want to do. Every year you're trying to get a little bit better.
Well, and let's talk about that, because in 2022 was that first step was getting win against Bethany, my alma mater. So it's a little sting on this side, but talk about what that meant for this group that's on campus right now and what that meant for you in your first year.
I mean, it obviously meant to the world, especially the juniors and the seniors who they have lived this streak, right? So that's all they've heard of. That's all they kind of, when they go home, that's what Thiel was known for, right? It was the longest streak at the time, and we were able to break it this last fall. So it just was like a weight was lifted off, and you could just see it. It was pouring rain. It was 40 degrees. It was not the most ideal, but no one wanted to leave that football field, right?
Yeah.
And it was just really a cool experience. It was really exciting. And, it's definitely something I'll never forget, because, it was my first win, but you could just see how important it was to everyone else that was on that football field, and how much it meant to them. It made it even more special. So it was pretty exciting for sure.
Well, and the reason I asked that question is I had Coach Didiano on weeks ago, and I did not ask him about, they had themselves a streak, and that was a turning point for the program. I know we're one step at a time, but that seems to be first win since 2017. And I went back because I was interested to see that win was against, and that same damn Bison team from down there in Bethany. So we just needed to make sure I got that out there, but
that's 3 in a row for you guys, right? So that's how you got to look at it.
Now the program, they got the first win, got it out of there. They got that off their shoulders. It's great work being done. Obviously, you guys are, I'm guessing, in the middle of spring ball, maybe coming to the end of spring ball.
Right near the end. Yep.
So, and how does, as you said, there's a lot, you can tell that the steps have been made forward. What have you noticed specifically in spring ball, getting the guys back on the field and whatnot? What's the attitude of the team?
Just the speed on the field is different, which has been really cool to see. We're just moving. We know where we're going. We're moving faster. There's more confidence out there. And then, it's just kind of the confidence that our players have that we are running systems that are working, that, they are succeeding within those systems. They see the hard work starting to pay off. So it's been really exciting. And, we're not there yet. We still have practices where I'm scratching my head and wondering what we got going on. But for the most part, we've had a very, very good spring, a very positive, and it's all pushing in the right direction. And that's really exciting to me.
All right, Coach. Now we go to the portion of the show where we just get to know you by the
Okay.
questions that were submitted. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Um, I just my brother used to live out there. I love it out there, Colorado. It's a really just a fun area. He lived in Longmont, not far from Rocky Mountain National Park, and it's beautiful out there. So I would say somewhere in that region because it's cool up in those mountains.
What's the most important lesson that you've learned thus far over your career?
Um, I think be authentic. I think especially as a young coach, you try to either mimic another coach or try to cater to what others are saying, what they're doing. Where I think if you're not yourself, players see through that. So just trying to always kind of go out there with the same kind of demeanor, same focus, and just be true to yourself.
If you weren't coaching, what would you be doing and why?
No idea. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I got to keep this job because I don't have many fallbacks. I honestly, like, it's hard to think of doing anything else if I'm being completely honest. Maybe in education because I'd be teaching, because I'd have that ability, or and still be around a game maybe. But I can't see myself not coaching.
Best compliment you've ever received?
I don't know if it's the best, but I think the one that jumped to my mind right away is my my college coach said I was the best bad football player he's ever seen. So a little bit of a backhanded compliment, but a compliment nonetheless. So
the other side to that question is best insult you've ever received.
Which might be the same. Yeah, exactly. So no, it was one of those where I think I was dropping back and I juggled an interception 4 or 5 times and fell down as I was running it back, but I got the ball back. So it was, like you're somehow in the way, but you're not doing it pretty.
Coach, the only other question I forgot to do before we got to this portion was I've had other conferences on, mainly the OAC was the kickoff to the season, and Coach Hilbert dubbed the OAC the SEC of Division III. We've had some PAC coaches, particularly Coach Sirianni, a couple other people that said, well, I mean, if we go back and look at the records, there's a big similarity between the OAC and the PAC if you remove maybe one school out of there. Where do you sit? What is the value of the President's Athletic Conference and the teams that you guys all play?
I mean, it's such a competitive conference, and I think that's really what is exciting about it. There's probably this last year 5 teams that could have won the league, and we're in a position to win the league at some point in the year. Which over half right around half your conference being in that position is pretty. There's not a lot of conferences that have that depth. So I would say we're week in, week out. There's not a game where you're like, all right, this is the one. We're in a great spot. We're ready to go. And I think that is what separates us, I think, from other conferences, is just how deep, how talented we are from team, I guess, 11 on up. And it's pretty. It's definitely, I think that's week in, week out, having to game plan for, and it's so diverse, right? I mean, we have Eva running the triple option. We have, teams that are slinging the ball all over the place. Grove City that's, running an old school eye at times, and then they're able to spread out. And defensively, 3 down, 4 down, we're bringing pressure. We're sitting quarters, 1 high. It's just it's so diverse, this league, and it's a lot of fun to be able to play in. So, I really, really like this league. Coming over from the league I was in, it's really cool to see the difference and see the competition.
Now back to the questions that are more relaxed and just about you. 3 football movies for you that if you're going to watch them, those are the first 3 that you're going to pull.
Yeah, I would say Remember the Titans is number 1. That's just a solid one. Any Given Sunday, and then Friday Night Lights, I think, would be the order.
The third one for me is always just the replacements just sits there. I don't know. I think it's the dance in jail and the fact that they reference an Orange Bowl game like 4 times. And the only thing Keanu could say is did nobody have anything else to do that day? Like, it's just everything that comes together. But question for you. Is there a question that you were expecting me to ask? And if so, how would you have answered it?
Was there a question? No, I tried to come in, I watched a couple of these with some of the other conference guys, just trying to see what I could get. But no, there was nothing that I was expecting. I think it was trying to go off the cuff and come in as least prepared, just so I could be open and honest. So that's where I'm at.
Well, I appreciate the authenticity of you coming in and just being off the cuff. I also appreciate you checking out the shows. Please keep doing that. Same to you guys. Make sure you continue to check out the episodes. Coach, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time. I'm glad we could get this finally together. I feel like we've been going back and forth a little bit. So best of luck this year. Don't be surprised. You might see me and our DingoTalk crew. We're going to be floating around a couple different games this year. So if we're coming up your way, I'll let you know ahead of time. Maybe we can get a drink or get some food together after the game, of course.
Yep. Get you over by the graveyard side, right?
I don't want to ring the bell. I know that's something before we go, I got to ask you about that. So what is the tradition there with the bell?
It's supposed to be the amount of points after the win. You ring it for those points that you scored. Unfortunately, we didn't quite follow that rule when we got back from Bethany, but it was honestly one of the coolest experiences because, we played a later game. We didn't get back till 10 o'clock at night, and there were 300 people there for us to ring the bell in front of. And the president was there. Our athletic director was there. We had, dean of student, there were a lot of people there, professors and students, and it was just an awesome environment. And I think everyone on the team tried to ring it about 100 times. So it was a blast. And the next goal is obviously it's been even longer, but we got to ring it after a home game because we've only kind of done it after away games for even longer than the 5 years. So it's definitely a tradition that I'm excited to learn more about because we only got to do it once this last fall, and it's something I want to keep doing a lot.
Well, Coach, I think that's a perfect way to end it. I hope that this season brings a lot of bells for the Thiel area. You sticking around? We'll be right back with Serenity Brown and the editorial. But this was Coach Bauman, Thiel College's head coach, and we'll be right back.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. That's Serenity Brown. This is the editorial with Serenity Brown. Before we get into that, thank you if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts or listen to your podcast. Please continue to do that. Hit the like and the little bell so you don't miss an episode. Same thing for those of you watching on YouTube. Really appreciate you. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. Sam Bauman, Thiel head football coach. Go.
Well, I'm going to point out the obvious of the audio issue. We had small issues here and there, but one big one where you cut out real low. Like, you can kind of still hear what you're saying, but it's real low. I don't know what happened there.
Probably pulled away from the mic, or I have noticed that sometimes the cord comes out, or it's in, but it's not
loose.
Yeah. I'm actually really excited to see what happens with Thiel in the coming years. I mean, it's a little rough for me as a Bison, former Bison. I guess I can't call myself a Bison anymore. Yeah. But are you ever really not a Bison? That's a conversation for another day. Tough that they got to ring the victory bell coming home. I'd like to see, when we're going through the schedule, I'd like to see them get a win at home so the coach can do that, ring that bell up there. It just seems to be very relaxed. He seems to be a very we're gonna play ball. We're gonna put our best 11 on the field, and it's gonna be the other team's job to stop. And that doesn't bode well for the other teams in the conference because it just makes the conference that much of a tougher schedule. Side note from this episode, we're still recording episodes, and it's interesting to me. The episodes that do well, normally, whoever the guest was, they share it. And the episodes that don't do well, and vice versa, they're not shared. But I wanted to talk to you about what you thought. Now, if you took 45 minutes out of your time to be on a show.
Well, let's say I've already done this because I didn't really want to be on the show. We avoided it for a long time. Then I was on the show, and I did share my episode.
Yeah.
And I'm not one who's big on really any social media. I'm not.
Well, and every coach that we've had has shared the show. I mean, Alan Saunders shared the show, Jim Collins.
Yeah.
It just seems that would be the normal.
But
Maybe
like
I'm
also,
overthinking it, I guess.
I don't understand the people who don't share the show because
when they're the guest, we're not talking about for the fans that listen. I understand you don't have to. I don't expect you to put it out there.
No, but if they're the guest on the show,
did you feel like you wasted your time?
Yeah,
did you feel like you wasted my time?
If you didn't want it like out there or anything like that, or your people to see it, why did you do it in the first place? Like, why did you do this show in the first place? It's just. It takes, what, 2
Well, I mean, look at our most viewed show. Jeff Seglin and whatever the hell he did.
Yeah,
although, many moons down the road, we did an interview this week with Misericordia's head coach. And the direct quote that I got from him is, he's been on 4 podcasts. He's the top one in 3 of them. And the only reason he's not 4 out of 4 is because the guy got famous and started interviewing like James Franklin and these Division I coaches, and now he's number 2 or 3 on that list. But I don't know. Jeff Seglin's got 1,000 views, and it's really not about the views. It's just that's not why I brought this up. I do this because I enjoy it. I just don't understand, like, if you're gonna, and it's been bothering me for about a week, maybe a little longer. That, like, why would you be on the show? Talk about whatever your school is or whatever your experiences were. Aren't you proud of your experiences?
Yeah, you want to be able to show the world what your school has to offer, what you have to offer for your schools, stuff like that. But
and it's not. I'm not taking a stab at anyone in particular. No. I'm just stating, because we had a bunch of people during the alumni tour. The same thing. They didn't necessarily, and that's most of the people that didn't share it. Alumni tour wise, were the people that we expected weren't going to share it. They're not big social media, and I get that. And maybe you guys at home are listening to this going, what the hell is this guy talking about? Or maybe you're wondering the same thing, like, why would you be on a show and then just be like, oh yeah, I did it, but I'm not going to acknowledge that I did it. And that concludes our manic rant for the week. Thank you. And watch this segue. Watch this. Ready? Mental Health Appreciation Month and Awareness Month. I guess no.
Awareness.
We appreciate mental health as well. I mean, we don't.
Are you okay?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But we're here.
We're hanging out.
Yeah, Coach Bauman was a awesome guest. He invited us up there. I don't know how I feel, and we talked about this. I don't know how I feel about the graveyard on the side where the visit. It's the only time I've ever been up there is they put us on us bison. They put us on the sideline that there's a cemetery right there.
You know?
No, it's creepy. Every time I've been up there, it rained. It was gray. I'm sure.
Why did they put you over there?
I'm sure. I mean, they weren't considering my feelings when I was over there. But, all right, this has gone off the rails. So,
come to a close.
Top 3 movie villains, in your opinion.
I don't know. I don't watch a lot of movies besides, like, scary movies, I guess. Like,
which literally they are surrounded by a villain. You're going to tell me Michael Myers is a hero? Okay, he is, and I know he is to a lot of people, and you people all scare me. But I think did I throw you off enough? We got. All right, Chuckleheads, we will see you next week. Make sure, if you haven't yet, hit the follow button on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. Everything is the same. It's DingoTalk, except for Instagram. That's Dingo_talk. And we'll catch you next week, Chuckleheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Dingo Talk. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. For more info and to contact the show, you can find us on Twitter @DingoTalk.